Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make this elegant high neck draped top. It is a simple and stylish piece and I'll walk you through the process step by step. So without wasting any time, let's jump right into this video. Firstly, I'm going to grab my pattern paper, and on that paper, I'm going to start with my neckline. So I'm going to come down by 5 inches. That 5 inches will serve as my borderline. I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side, and I'm going to connect with a straight line. So the next thing I'm going to do is to get my neckline. I'll be using a basic neckline of 3 by 3 inches, which is 3 inches length and 3 inches width. Next, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement, which is 16 inches divided by 2, and I have 8. I'm also going to come down by 1 inch to create my shoulder slope, and from then on, I'm going to take my chest line, my bust line, and then the full length of my top. Now, the full length of this top is 30 inches. I'm going to put all those measurements down. I'm also going to repeat this on the other side and connect all my points with a straight line. After connecting my point, I'm going to put down my shoulder measurement of 8 inches on my chest line and connect that to my shoulder slope. And after doing that, I'm going to label all my lines. So I'm basically just going to label this, my chest line, my bust line, and I forgot to take out my waistline. So I'm just going to do that here, and I'm going to connect my points and also label it. The next thing I'm going to do is to get my round measurement. Starting with my chest line, I'm going to take my bust measurement divided by 4. I'm going to put that on my chest line and on my bust line. And for the waist, I'm going to get my round waist measurement divided by 4. I'm going to put that down as well. So from my waistline, I'm going to come down by 10 inches, which is my hip line. I didn't do that initially, so I'm going to do that now. And I'm going to repeat this same 10 inches on the other side so I have a balanced line, and I'm going to connect that with a straight line. And after doing that, I'm going to divide my round hip measurement into 4, and whatever value I have there, I'm going to put that on my hip line. Now, after doing all of these, I'm going to connect all my points. On the hemline, I'm just going to put down my round hip measurement divided by 4. The same thing I have on my hip line. Although I'm not going to use that line, I'm still going to cut it a bit shorter. But I'm just going to put that down there and connect that with a straight line. Next, we'll be working on the neckline. So from that 3 inches on my neckline, I'm going to extend it by 1 inch. And from that point, I'm going to create my armhole using my armhole curve, just the way I'm doing it. Just pay close attention. So to create that high neck, I'm going to come up by 1 inch from my shoulder line. So from that 1 inch point, I'm going to extend the line using a curve. This extension will form our strap. Now you can make this extension with a straight line or a curved line. Either option works. Just follow what I did if you want the same result. Now on my neck width, I'll also connect it with a curve. Simply follow what I'm doing on your screen so you can replicate this same shape accurately. While extending the strap, make sure your strap width is between 2.5 inches to 3 inches. As you can see, I'm making mine short because I didn't have enough length, okay, for the strap, but it's roughly about 6 to 7 inches extension. So to make up for my strap length, I'll be attaching another piece of fabric later to elongate the strap. Next, I'm going to add about 0.75 inches ease to the waist because I don't want my waist to be all that tight. I want it to have a bit of freeness on the waist. So I'm going to do that and blend this into my bodice and cut out my front piece. I'm also going to reduce the length of my top, like I said earlier. So instead of 30 inches, my top length is going to be 28 inches. So after cutting, I'm going to transfer to my fabric. Now for this particular top, I'll be working with crepe. Any type of crepe works. This is medium texture. It's not really thick and it's not that soft as well. So I'm going to place my pattern paper on my fabric and I'm going to cut it out. I'll be putting my allowance on the fabric because I didn't do this on the pattern paper. So on the side, I'm going to be using 1 inch allowance, and on the hemline, I'll be using 1 inch seam allowance as well. And then on the neckline, I won't be using any allowance because that is enough. I'm just going to stitch with 0.25 inches. And then on the armhole, I'll be using 1/2 inch seam allowance. So to cut out the back piece, there won't be any need for any pattern. I'm just going to get my fabric and place it on fold. And then I'm going to place my front piece right on the fabric and I'm going to let it stop at the bust line, okay? This top is going to be a halter neck, so I'm just going to place it right at the bust line and then I'm going to place it side by side and cut out the back piece. And also, there won't be any need for a zipper at the center back. That's why I'm placing the fabric on fold. So I won't be using a zipper at the center back. I'm going to place my zipper at the side seam. So after cutting, the next thing I did was to open up my piece and then I'm going to get the asymmetric hemline. So from the hemline right there, I'm just going to come up by 5 inches, okay? And I'm going to connect that to the other end. That gives it that asymmetric hemline. So as you can see, I've already cut out the main piece and I cut out the lining piece as well. So I'm going to place them right sides facing and I'm going to add my strap extensions. Okay, so the extension width is 3 inches, which is 2.5 inches plus half inch seam allowance, and the length is about 45 inches. You can adjust the length to suit your preference. Okay, but that's what I used for mine. So I'm just going to place it on the main piece and the lining piece, and I'm going to stitch everything together. Just watch closely to see how I'm doing it. So this is what it looks like. I already stitched the neckline and the armhole as well. So I'm just going to give this a notch. Make sure you give it a notch so it can relax properly when you're ironing them. Next, I'm going to flip it over to the right side using my scissors. Please, when you're doing this, be careful so you don't poke a hole through your straps, okay? So I'm going to do this gently and turn it over to the right side. After turning it over to the right side, just take it to your ironing table and give this a very good press. So this is what it looks like after pressing. You can see how nice and flat it looks. The next thing I'm going to do is to grab my back piece and I'm going to join my back piece to the front piece. But before I do that, I'm going to pipe the unfinished edges. I'm going to fold it in with half an inch and stitch it down. After doing that, I'm going to place my front and back piece right sides facing and I'm going to stitch it down with 1 inch seam allowance on one side. The other side is going to be where I'm going to attach my zipper. So I'm going to leave that side open. So to close one side of the top, I'm going to use this trick to close it nicely. It's going to be looking very clean and professional. So I'm just going to open both the lining piece and my main piece, and I'm going to place the back piece in between the main fabric and the lining piece and flip it over and then stitch it down. When you use this method, it's going to give your top a very clean finish. So I've done that and you can see how clean it's looking. I also used my overlocking machine to trim off the rough edges. I also went ahead to attach my zipper on the other side and you can see we have a very beautiful top. And also there's a slit on the other side of your top. That is the side opposite the zipper, which is the longer part of the asymmetric hemline. To do this, simply stop sewing where you want your slits to end, then finish the raw edges with piping or hemming gum. And finally, I hemmed the bottom of my top with half an inch sewing allowance. I overlocked it using my overlocking machine first and I serged the bottom and then I turned it over with half-inch seam allowance. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like, subscribe and share it so others can find this video. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.